So hi everybody, I'm Steve Jaccaud, and my partner and I over here, Justin Chapman, we were kind of chewing on a big gnarly topic a little while back, and we thought that it would be a good exploration to bring to this group at A&E. Full disclosure, I haven't been to an A&E for a little while, so I feel slightly guilty, but I'm happy to be back and seeing so many smiley faces and some folks that I haven't seen in a very long time. Um, but our topic du jour here that we need your help actually in exploring because we're certainly not the pros at this. We're not going to tell you how to do anything like kill agile coaches or AI or any of the above, but we want to explore this topic with you for a little bit. So our topic du jour here is will AI kill agile coaching? And we had to kind of make it nice and controversial here to get all the brains moving, but I am pleased to report that no agile coaches were harmed in the making of this presentation. So I think, I think we're all good. We're exploring the possibilities here. And I'm going to turn it over to Justin and get us kicked off.
All right. So, as Steve mentioned, it's a gnarly topic, and so we won't get into it other than just to say there's going to be, I think, a great interactive session where we can really get into the gnarliness of this topic. And so, just a little bit of background for who we are, just from the perspective of, hey, like we're sharing and leading a conversation and want to make sure that you guys all have a sense of who we are. So I'm Justin Chapman, as Steve mentioned, and I've worked at places like PayPal, IBM, MasterCard, and in the Boston area, Carbonite. Probably a fair number of folks are familiar with Carbonite. And then I've worked in product roles, coaching roles, and that's where my expertise comes through as looking at both roles. Steve and I had the pleasure of meeting at a company called QuickBase, which was in Cambridge at the time, and we were both coaches there, which was great. So we had the idea of bouncing ideas off of each other, and so that's where we met. And I won't say how many years ago that was, but it was enough. It was enough years ago that we've kept in touch, and we thought it'd be great to have this topic. And Steve's done some awesome work at Spotify and Isotope, and then EA Arts gaming. Like that is such a diverse background. Awesome. So I'm thinking maybe I come back as Steve in the next life. Um, so if we can have the next slide, just to
You
say,
bet.
hey, we've both been there in coaching and product. So from the perspective of why do we care about this, I came up with this slide and I thought it would be interesting, as you can see from who generated it, the idea of why do we actually care about this? And so I'm going to read it because I want you guys, if you're not looking at the screen, to hear the sentiment that's shared. And so why do we care about AI and sort of this idea of automation and thinking about AI from its totality, right? You know, that's natural language processing, that's machine learning, right? That's all of the things that we've ever heard of, uh, and AI being the umbrella. So using generated AI from Gemini, right? So this is straight free. I didn't use any credits from anything else. It had this to say: to be indifferent to the process of artificial intelligence is to be indifferent to the future of humanity, a future that will be either sublimely beautiful or terrifyingly bleak. And that's using the voice of Oscar Wilde. And then using my own voice and just sort of struggling through how to put together some words to describe what I was thinking about it as a real human, as a real human AI. As people participating in life, we should be interested in understanding what AI is and isn't so that we can exploit the advantages and bring in a controlled revolution useful to our goals. So if you contrast those two ideas, at least what I got out of it was that looking at the tone of Oscar Wilde, right, we have the more sort of beautiful approach for how to write something, and then my own approach of writing had to do with what I thought would be useful and why we ultimately care about what AI is. And I was coming at it from the perspective of, hey, if it's a controlled revolution, this is actually going to be kind of cool. It'll be terrifying, but it'll be like a roller coaster. We know we're not going to die. It's going to be a little bit. It's going to be. There's going to be some ups. There's going to be some downs, but it's going to be okay. We'll get off the ride, and some of us will be like, I got to go do that again, and some of us will go like, Hey, I'm gonna stand over there and I'll watch you. Like I'll cheer you on and I will watch you. But I don't think it's going to be as terrifyingly bleak in the tone of Oscar Wilde. But I think it gives us a perspective of sort of where we are. AI describing itself using the tone of someone who's just a much better writer than I am, and then myself. Uh, Next slide. All right, so here was a quote, or here's not a quote, but sort of a general direction. In 2024, an AI generated piece won a prestigious art competition, sparking debates about the nature of creativity and the future of artistic expression. You guys are going to love the next slide. All right. So this was both of these were generated by using AI. I'm a fan of Jackson Pollock and that type of art. And while I don't have a real Jackson Pollock in my house, I was like, oh, like it might be kind of cool to see what AI would do if I said, render something for me in the spirit of that type of artwork. And I gotta say, I wasn't wholly disappointed with what I got. And as we were doing this research, I was like, Steve, this is great. This is good. This can be really helpful. I don't think it's terrifyingly bleak, but I do think it actually is really helpful to give us a sense of, if you, like a little child, help give direction about what you're looking for, it can help give you and render things that are highly useful to you in a constructive way, so long as we have some guardrails. Next slide. Okay, so Steve, we have the question. How are
Yeah.
you using AI? And how did we want to do this? Is it do we want
Yeah.
to do this chat based or other?
Either way, so let's say go ahead and drop some examples or some of the ways that maybe you're currently or have used AI kind of recently, or alternatively, go ahead and use the little raise hand function here, and we'll get a little light discussion going for a couple minutes. How have you been using AI?
I know we didn't talk about this, Steve, but I'd love it if I could figure out how to get AI to get me out of speeding tickets.
Or
That would,
taxes? Oh man, yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah, that's a
sure, sure,
difference.
sure to taxes, but I got to be number one. I don't get that many speeding tickets, but just how awesome would it be if we could have AI like get you out of speeding tickets? And it can't be drive the speed limit. That's not the
That's
response I
not.
want.
No,
I can
no,
do that
that's not
myself. We have cruise
right.
control. Like we're good.
We need. Yeah, yeah. We see all kinds of cool. Oh man, okay, some good stuff here in the chat. And of course, if anybody would love to do a real life hello, feel free to come off of mute and tell us what you've been doing with AI.
Yeah, I just put it in chat. I've been using for all different kind of things. I'm a software engineer by trade, so I and some of my colleagues, we have almost stopped using Google. Anything, we just go, we give it a problem and say, okay, solve this for me. It will solve it. I can give it a code and it does a really fantastic job
Hmm.
of explaining it to me. So I don't have to jump around to multiple sites and say, who is right, who is wrong. Mostly it's like, okay, it gives you a good solution right there. And then I use it to write my resume, refine my resume, cover letter, and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of resume writing. I'm right there with you, by the way. Currently in cover letters, it's just nice to bounce some ideas off of somebody who's not me. Um, yeah, and knows how to write real good.
I like this post from Lisa. It says, "Helping to write blog posts." I mean, I'm going to say helping is helping. I've got a site up and I've used it to add a fair amount of blog posts. So it looks like I've got a lot of a lengthy archive that took me about an hour to write.
Mm.
But or I should say,
Okay.
with assistance.
I will say, I think if you don't write the first draft, it's not your writing. Just in my humble opinion.
Hey, quick question. Hey, Steve, this is a little bit impromptu.
Yeah.
But I put up on LinkedIn, and for those of you who are maybe second or third connected to me, this might resonate with you. But I had put out a poll on LinkedIn probably about a year ago. Is it okay to write your wedding vows using AI? And you might remember I had a fake
Yeah.
profile. My
Yeah.
fake wife or hopeful wife,
Congratulations, by the
whatever,
way.
was
Yeah.
Hannah. So I gave her a name, Hannah. And then so it was two different posts. One was Hannah, and here are the vows I got. But then I had a poll question of, is it okay? It's yes, no. And then the third option was yes, but don't tell anyone. And that's the one that won. Overwhelmingly, people were using it. No was substantial, but it didn't outweigh yes, and then yes, but don't tell anyone. So I'd love to hear. And I think this is one where I think you got to come off mute and sort of give us your perspective on whether or not you would tell your spouse, or you would use it but not tell your spouse. But maybe like 10 years in, you're like, well, like it already sort of worked out. Like, you can't hate me now. We're 10 years later. What do folks think?
As long as you don't use the like the hallucination mode, like, because then you're gonna get like Hannah Bobana kind of stuff, which could be cool.
I have
Sorry.
started poking around on TikTok, and some of the vows I have seen, well, let's put it this way: if my spouse of almost 21 years later this month, had done anything remotely like this, I would have stormed out of his parents' living room. So
okay,
if you have that sort of twisted sense of humor, then absolutely use it. Save you from yourself.
So I am using AI in multiple places. This is Rama.
Rama.
One, definitely in the job searches and understanding the requirements. So if there is a specific job requirement, if you throw into ChatGPT and ask, what are the key points they are looking for? And then it shows instead of reading, because literally in September, I applied for 550 jobs. I was able to do only through AI. So I throw in the job requirement, cut and paste into the chat GPT and ask, what are the key requirements and this job is looking for? And it will show if it fits me, I apply, otherwise I go on. So otherwise I have to read like 50, 60 lines of every job requirement. I can't apply for those many jobs. That is one personal use I'm making, and another is a competitive analysis. So when I'm creating strategies for startups and stuff like that, before we used to go to a lot of competitive analysis and go to certain websites to pay. Now, if I know, for example, if I'm looking at Amazon as my competitor, I can throw in Amazon.com and say, tell me the competitive analysis of this site in comparison to Walmart.com in the B2B, and it gives you answers. And it's not necessarily gives everything, but it gives a lot of leg up for you, and also elevates anything that we miss thinking as humans.
That's great, Rama. Yeah. No,
It's
those are
really
great
like
ideas.
it really put me on top notch when I'm consulting with startups and stuff like that. It's working a lot. Even odd industries like meditation, non-profits and stuff, that some of the things that we may not even understand what they do, but it's giving me an advantage there. But those are my two personal uses. Other than that, we used ChatGPT in the company I worked for, where the support tickets, based on the keywords, we open the SharePoint site and say, hey, these are the things how to do it. If it is, and then ChatGPT goes on saying, did it help or would you like more help? And then we try to suggest to, but we put a limit that only 3 prompts from ChatGPT, and then we open the seamlessly. They wouldn't know it is not support team, but they would say, okay, we will look for solution and get back to you in 24 hours. And we open the support ticket at that time to reduce the support tickets, not in the beginning. But the people who were entering the service now, they would think, oh, we are entering a support ticket, but not necessarily. We only mark it as taken care by ChatGPT. And if they went to SharePoint or not through the link, and we trace it to understand our work. That's all we did. So that was one of the uses I found for ChatGPT internally.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and thanks everybody for sharing in the chat here. I'm picking up some amazing ideas, and I'm pretty sure maybe at the end of this here, Maggie, if it's okay, we'll leave this open, and Peter, we'll leave this open for a couple minutes just so everybody can download the chat transcript. That's hard to say. Chat transcript. But some great ideas here, and I definitely maybe afterwards I'd love to hear how y'all are using it with online dating all the way to sending or creating thousands of job descriptions all in under a minute. I can't wait. Awesome. Thanks. Justin, anything else you want to add here?
No, I think we've had a great discussion. I think, yes, let's move on.
Yeah, cool. So, so what else is AI capable of, right? I mean, we just saw a ton of great examples here and heard a lot about, what we're kind of thinking about AI and how we're using it currently. But if we kind of zoom out for a second and look at the state of AI, now there's a bunch of ways to look at this. This is just kind of the timeline that I put together here for our purposes today. But AI is capable of a bunch of different things, kind of starting from the reactive. And this is, AI is not necessarily new. Of course, it's been around in some way or another, deterministic or probabilistic machines since what, the 50s, 60s, somewhere in there, but kind of started off in this reactive place. And this is where you got like, chess games that'll kind of play with you and spam filters and stuff. And then, of course, limited memory type of AI. And this is where we're kind of getting close to that here with, the self-driving cars and chatbots. Oh, but it gets more, right? Kind of in the somewhat foreseeable future, we're going to have AI that's called theory of mind. And this is where it actually starts to kind of read emotions and conversation and can hear things and actually at least approximate complex interactions like a human might. But then there's more here where AI might get to a point where it's actually becoming more self-aware and it's got a theoretical sense of consciousness and things like that, where it's not just intelligent and knows things and can drive your car. It actually, is in some ways alive enough. And then who knows how long in the way out future, or maybe not, who knows, it actually gets to a point where it could surpass human consciousness. Now, don't freak out about that. Yeah, sentience versus sapience. I like that. That's actually probably the best way to put this. By the way, AI helped me write this slide. So yeah, words are a thing, but this is just kind of like if we look at where we're at today. I mean, it's really just a reminder that we're at the baby steps of artificial and general intelligence is kind of right around the corner, where AI is starting to really think and become a partner with a lot of these jobs to be done that we think about, but in our daily lives as well. So that's kind of the state of AI. Let's talk about the state of coaching, because remember back to our initial exploration here. Will AI kill agile coaching? We had to kind of gin that up for you a little bit, but okay, AI and agile coaches holding hands, let's talk about what coaching is. And I'm sure, we've got quite a few. We got 41 folks on the call here. If I asked this, I'd probably get a million different answers about what coaching is. But for our purposes here today, I really love this quote from Douglas Silsby, the late Douglas Silsby here from the Mindful Coach and Presence-Based Coaching, who says, coaching is that part of a relationship in which one person is primarily dedicated to serving the long-term development of competence, self-generation, and aliveness in the other. Now, that's a lot of words, right? But if we think about, again, this inevitable possibly state of artificial intelligence, and what do we do as coaches or people who are coaching? Some things kind of pop out that maybe are obvious to you, or maybe not so obvious, like things like relationship. How can you have a relationship with AI? Long-term development. How does our AI know when I've gotten better at getting better? Self-generation. As humans, we like to generate our own insight, and we like to chew on these problems and think of what's next. But how might AI help us with stuff like that? And then the aliveness. Oh, wow. Because is AI actually going to know what it's like to be alive at some point? Maybe not. So yeah, and Peter, great great comment there. Like, as our world changes, how we coach will change as well, and how we invoke these machines or not is going to be a factor. So now let's see if we can throw both of these concepts together, AI and coaching. And so some of you might be familiar with what we call the coaching arc. Now, there's a million different coaching conversation and arc kind of frameworks, but I picked this one here to kind of give an illustration. But if we kind of think about, okay, at some point somebody says, "Hey, coach, I can't solve this problem myself, and I kind of need your help. Come on in," and you contract with them, you build a relationship. Then you might go through a normal coaching conversation, whether that's, a 45-minute call once a month, or, you get hired as a consultant or coach, for an engagement. But hey, what's the goal? What do we need to accomplish with our time together? And then you might explore, what's the reality of the current situation, where you would invoke some data. What can we observe that's just objectively true? And Gary was talking about empiricism earlier in the retro session, which was awesome. Like, what's real about our situation? Our customers leaving us, what's going on? And then maybe exploring some options and opportunities, some potential experiments with this client of yours as a coach. And then what's next? What do we agree to take forward? What are the next steps, and how can I help you stay accountable, and how can we be jointly responsible for this coaching? And then, of course, what's on the other side of that? How do we continue? Do we meet often? Those kind of things. But if you think of this as just like a coaching arc, a bit of a process that you could follow, the question then kind of becomes, how might we use some of these bots, artificial intelligence, chat agents, whatever you want to call them, to help us maybe supercharge a process like this, right? And here in a couple moments, I think we said earlier, so we're actually going to do a breakout room here. We're going to kind of let you self-select into some breakout rooms, where you're actually going to get to kind of chew on an example discussion here. But I kind of wanted to just flash this up for a second so that you could kind of think about, hey, all of the ways in which you might coach, let's say, your direct reports, or coach the executives that you work with, or coach several teams, in your day-to-day. How might you insert AI into the process that you use? It doesn't have to be the grow model here. It can be whatever process you use. But how can AI actually be inserted or used or not? So, and then of course, before we do that breakout, it's always worth kind of calling out the elephants in the room. So, yeah, these are the things that I think if you ask anybody, who may have, very real concerns about the state of AI and how it impacts our daily lives, and as humans, as agilists, whatever, these might be the things that come up. And of course, it's things like losing control, artificial intelligence. Those are models that are created by people, or maybe even at this point created by other AI. But the data that they get trained on, some of it may be open source, but we do see that some companies trying to take their models private again, which, okay, maybe it doesn't align with us anymore as humans. Ethical dilemmas. So when I worked at Spotify, and got my friend here, Nimot, from Spotify, but ethical dilemmas came up a lot because, at Spotify, we worked with the groups that were actually doing a lot of the algorithmic playlist generation. And, essentially, if you generate playlists that promote a certain artist over another artist, well, you may get artists that are amazing that just kind of get buried under the weight of other, playlists, or they don't get promoted quite the same way. So there's ethical dilemmas all over the place, or potentially. And then of course, job displacement. So yes, I'm proudly looking for a gig myself. But these shifts in labor markets are inevitable. We have to figure out, how to adapt, but it could be a little painful, and possibly leaving people up behind. So we say all this because, again, if we think about things like that coaching arc and the elephants in the room, here in just a second, we're going to go into our breakouts, and we're going to talk about this here. So, Justin, do you want to kind of tee us up on this breakout?
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve. So this breakout is a combination of, I'll call it, just very significant lightning rods that both Steve and I have gone through ourselves, and then additionally what we have significant anecdotal information on if we have not ourselves gone through it. So here's the scenario. On Monday, your CTO / other C-level executive, depending on however your organization is structured, pings you to jump on an emergency video call, assuming the CTO in this case would be your boss or your boss's boss, that sort of a thing. During the impromptu chat, you leave with information and an ask. So here's the information that you leave the conversation with. The organization is going all in on AI. We all generally have heard similar statements like, we're going all in on insert whatever it is here. In this case, it's AI. Leadership is pushing for return to office. None of us have heard that. Nah, that's not a thing, right? And so for this example, we're going to say return to office is at a minimum 3 days in office and possibly 2 remote. It won't be as harsh as some others that we've heard anecdotally, where if you don't even live within an hour of the office, you lose your job. There are things on LinkedIn that are going that level. So we're just saying return to office just means minimum 3 days physically in office. Last bullet point, senior most architect from a technical perspective, as opposed to architect, sort of business architect, coaching architect, that sort of a thing. Senior most technical architect is taking early retirement in 60 days, and they're out. Okay, so here's what the breakout session is going to be. Effectively, the ask. Develop a coaching plan, 3 to 5 bullet points, effectively something that you would have an email / memo that says, hey, here's how we need to move forward in a way that's constructive. By end of day, to address fears and foster excitement about these changes among the product delivery teams. So in this case, it's the CTO because it's CTO and they're owning the product engineering. So think about it. more traditional approach where coaches have played, which is product engineering as a whole. So you've got the product organization, we'll say you've got product marketing in there as well in product, and then you've got also some type of analytics group, right? Data intelligence, that sort of a thing that's supporting the marketing group as well as, and then you've also got just the straight engineering, and then you've got the coaching group of whatever that would be, and then any quality folks that are there. So, you're talking about a relatively large portion of any company, just from a percentage wise, that's probably about half the headcount of the company. So any questions on what the ask is from this breakout session?
So the
And
changes. So the changes on a return office, using AI for something, and losing the architect. Do we have to?
so the AI is not something, it's for everything. So the idea is the company is
All
focusing
in.
on is trying to figure out how to put AI everywhere.
Yeah, the big thing here is you are the coach, and how do you address these fears and foster excitement
Yep.
with the CTO or with
And
the organization?
exactly. And so you're not going to get there overnight, but just from a coaching perspective, how do you start allaying the fears? What are some of the techniques you would approach using to allay those fears, and then go from the fear to fostering excitement? Because it's going to probably be more than 1 or 2 steps. It could be 3 or 4, right? It's whatever your group comes up with. But good question. Thank you. Any other thoughts, questions before we jump into the breakout rooms and discuss?
Thanks, Maggie.
I haven't looked in
Awesome.
the chat if there's any questions. Okay, I don't see anything in the chat. So then I guess, so to confirm, it's clear to everyone what needs to happen in the breakout?
Yeah. We're
All
going to
right.
take about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll have about 10 minutes afterwards to kind of read back to each other and share some ideas in the chat, and we'll make a section for that. So for about 15 minutes, we're going to break out. And I think, Maggie, are you able to help us create the room?
Oh, I think she just did join a breakout room.
Okay, I just created like 3 rooms. People want to just randomly pick one. We'll see if we need to make any more. Actually, am I seeing a bunch of people in the Agile retrospective one? Is it just me?
Yeah, there's 11 folks in that one.
Yeah.
What the? Hold on a second. All right, so if everybody can join 2, 3, and 4, not the Agile 101, I will see if I can close that one out without closing the other ones, but I don't know if I can. But yeah, please jump into room 3, 4, 2. Take your task with you. Feel free to copy that little bit I put in the chat. I don't know if you'll be able to see it when you're in the room, but take some notes, and we'll ask for some folks' feedbacks when they come back, and I'll be joining one as well. How to do the but if anyone has, does anyone in our session here have an AI chatbot that we can, or an AI tool that we can use for this task? Let me reopen the chat here. So our task is to develop 3 to 5 points to coach the teams under this one CTO to address their fears, foster excitement. Yeah.
I think the issue here, I mean, they gave multiple issues. One is return to office. 2 is jump to AI. 3 is our architect is retiring. And from my perspective, I would not be talking to the teams at all in that situation, because 2 of those are panic points.
Which two? Which two?
The AI one, which is a hype point, New
Yeah.
technology, new thing. AI has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
This is just the latest iteration with OpenAI's
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good technology. It's very useful. I mean, I was the one who put in
Yep.
the 1,000 job descriptions being generated. I use it all the time. I'm coaching us in AI strategy, but it's still hype.
Yep.
Why do you want to use AI?
Okay.
You
And the
haven't
other one?
described it. The other one is the return to office, and that we actually have studied this one in detail and know that people who work from home are generally more productive. And even when they aren't, we get the opportunity to hire outside our area. So it actually saves money. So
Right.
it's generally a way to lay people off. So
Right.
someone's lying on that front. And the
Right.
only one that matters is the architect one then. That's the only part that actually matters in this entire equation. Everything else is bullshit.
I thought that the losing the architect is a little bit of hype too, because well, we all are valuable and we all think we're invaluable to the organization. None of us are, right? I mean,
Yep.
losing that knowledge is important, but you know, I've done knowledge transfer. I mean, you know, people
Yep.
retire every day, right? So
It's the most pertinent issue, though the other two don't matter, in my opinion.
yeah.
They're just
So how
someone's
would you
having an
go
emotional
about?
reaction.
So how would you? I was having the idea of like, well, let's ask an AI tool how to develop these 3 to 5 points. Anybody else got any other way to?
I mean, I
I'm
raised my hand. I think one, Alex, about the number two in terms of return to office, I'm totally in agreement with Alex. It's just in terms of we have to be very authentic about what's the reason behind it, whether it's a kind of reduction in workforce tactic. But embracing AI in the work, I think there's way we can think about it. Like what, if I were to develop a coaching plan and I didn't get a chance to type to OpenAI, it's like, what are the areas we can use AI in its current form, whether it's OpenAI or ChatGPT or Gemini, in our day-to-day work we can use. I would get that kind of brain going in terms of coaching, like, oh yeah, our company does X. These are the areas we can use AI, which can help us improve our productivity. We all discuss, right? Sometimes it's good to have AI to create that seed, whether it's a marketing message, whether it's a branding message. So I think there's opportunities for us as a coach to think from and get people excited about, other than seeing AI as an enemy, like how can we embrace it and improve our productivity? So I think personally, I would think from that. I mean, I don't know, we don't know the details about the company, but I think there's no denying that AI will be here and it will be here for a longer time. So the more we kind of create that, it's a change management process, right? What are the, yeah.
I'll just chime in here and just say it's not that AI hasn't evolved or anything. I'm not disagreeing that we integrate it. It's more of the hype part is the issue, because you can certainly implement technology and not know how you're implementing it and cause detriment. Like go back to Nokia and how rapidly they were putting out phones. They lost the second the iPhone came out. We have to think strategically about how to apply that. And that's why I actually disagree with the premise of the conversation here, where we're coaching down to the teams on this. And it sounds like we have to be coaching up leadership on how we actually implement this technology. What's a good product strategy when it comes to AI?
I don't disagree, but that's
So
not our ask for today.
I
Like, you know, what our ask is to do this. So it's
this is Bernadette. I did put it into ChatGPT and have a 5-point plan.
awesome. Do you want to post it in the chat?
Oh boy, yeah, it's long. So
Okay.
let
See
me
if
do
it'll let
that.
you.
Yeah, hold on one second. It'll take me a second to do that. Oh boy.
Welcome back. Yeah, the time flies here.
Did everyone come back from the breakout rooms? I can close them out. Oh, do you want me to close them all out?
I think I don't know if I closed them all out. Maybe just a double check there. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring on everybody on back, and we're going to share back for a couple minutes, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Oh, these are not start. Okay, so I'm just showing. Okay, it's showing not started. So I guess that's the same as closed out. Okay. I think
Yeah.
everybody's back.
Okay. Yeah, so we should be back now. Let's go ahead and take a couple thoughts from the group, just maybe a couple minutes per team. I can maybe kick us off with I was in room 4, and we had it was maybe less of a coaching plan, but it was like several coaching plans because we're tackling a bunch of issues here. And team, help me out here if I misrepresent anything, okay, please. But we said what the first part of the plan is understand what is the CTO trying to get with the all in on AI. So some more exploration there to get some additional why behind that transformation. And a great idea about creating an AI transition champion team of early adopters. The Cotter model sounded like, but some early adopters, some champions that were able to share, some small pilots, and just some folks that can kind of help demystify that AI portion. Also had some great ideas here around training on AI. So bring folks in the fold. What is it? What is it not? And what exactly we're expecting the organization to embrace here. And then I think there was another one about the return to office, the RTO portion of things, maybe offering some kind of innovation days in person for collaboration, with lunches and making an event that is productive and kind of gets people juiced up about the change. Did I miss anything there, team?
Nope, you covered it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Who else would like to share?
I can go. We were breakout room number 2. So we started by thinking about how can we put a positive spin to these things. So some of the points that we discussed were take the opportunity to show that we can leverage AI, to boost our productivity for code writing and bouncing idea and such. So rather than having fear of AI, use it to your advantage. Put a positive spin on the return to office as well to say there will be more collaboration, similar thing, innovation days and such. And senior architect leaving, the positive spin to that will be to say there will be more opportunities for other team members to step up and show their ideas and show their skills. And no surprise, some of us asked AI. So AI pretty quickly spit out the ideas that what can be done, make sure that the communication is clear, leverage AI to amplify human creativity and productivity, create forums to foster collaboration and inclusivity, and then RTO can provide an opportunity for mentoring, in-person mentoring, buddy system and such. And it also helped us, AI helped us create the communication plan and put things into the words and such. So that's where we spend a lot of time to talk about that. AI is something that it's a tool. Don't be fearful of it, but try to learn to use it to your advantage.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you. Who else would like to share?
I'll chime in for room 3, and if anyone would like to piggyback off me, that's perfectly fine. So fortunately, didn't get 3 to 5 points, but I'll address the first 2 that we had pretty solid. So certainly wanted to allow the teams to explore and brainstorm within their own groups of what the opportunities are for AI, exploring what's possible within their current expertise, and maybe exploring some new different avenues and different ways of working. Certainly want to encourage that developing an organizational security and governance policy around what AI can be used for and leveraged for within the organization. And then lastly, we wanted to develop a communication just around the overall message around that architect stepping away for early retirement, and developing a strategy around how you want to communicate replacing that individual, and hoping to curb any rumors or any possibilities of people thinking that AI was replacing said architect. I don't know if there's anything else we wanted to chime in there.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like fear spreads, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not careful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Team 3. Who else would like to share?
Bernadette, did you want to share? So we had
Sure.
one of our clever folks, Bernadette, put into ask AI for a plan. So so we put it in the chat. Go ahead, Bernadette.
Yep. So it was a pretty good starting point. I think it's covered a lot of the points that other people have around creating a vision, a better understanding of what the expectation is, have a chance to, hear from people, let them express their concerns and such. And it really is around, in terms of like the lead architect, making sure that you have good knowledge transfer before he goes, but then also see this as an opportunity for others to step up, et cetera. Reframing return to office as a growth opportunity, the benefits of being together, collaboration, et cetera. Fostering an agile mindset for AI-driven innovation. So really thinking about how you can use these tools to help in the jobs that, daily jobs, et cetera, including, some of the different agile approaches. And then, of course, addressing the emotional side of change management and creating a safe space and having regular communication and such.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think we all kind of came to a similar place. It sounds like, making sure that you take care of the people, no matter what you do, one way. Cool. Anybody else before we go ahead and wrap up
Yeah,
today?
Steve. So I was one
Yeah.
of the dissenting voices in the main room. I think the biggest challenge I see here is we're seeing a very emotional reaction here. We're going all in an AI. What the hell does that mean? Where are we going in on AI? AI has been around for a long time. We have Gen AI now. There's new technology in place. What does this actually mean for us as an organization? There's certain ways we can apply AI that could actually drive us out of business. How are we actually using it productively? What's the CEO or CTO's intention with this? Within leadership, returning to the office. Why are we returning to the office? There are plenty of studies that suggest that maybe actually staying at home in the hybrid work life actually is more productive for many organizations. And even when it's not, you can still outsource to people, or at least near shore people, to actually save money to get similar returns. So it's generally a major emotional reaction, generally, to probably get rid of people who aren't actually just listening and just going with the flow. The biggest one that stood out to me was that senior architect one. But to me, it's not a matter of coaching down to the product delivery teams. It's actually about addressing fears with the CTO and the senior leadership in this organization. They're the ones who need coaching here, because you're seeing 2 or 3 reactions driving a significant emotional reaction without actually considering the real need of what this organization is trying to achieve. And if we acquiesce and just say this is the way we're going, we're not coaching, we're just PR people.
Yeah.
We're just internal marketers. And that's a failure of coaching. That's where AI will beat us every day, because AI can market like hell. But it takes a real person to take a look at what is going on in an organization, what people are reacting to, and not just respond to the immediate reaction. Elsewise, agile coaching dies.
Yeah, and so thank you, thanks, Alexander. So I'm going to make a confession here. So Justin and I actually wrestled with this slide for quite a while, and the reason why we left it like this was we wanted to kind of see if as a group we kind of all pick up on I think what you're touching on here, which is why in the hell do you want to do any of these three things, let alone, AI, return to office, your senior architect, why are you letting them go? Or what's going on there? But we kind of we actually left it somewhat vague like that to see if, part of our coaching plan was actually coaching upward or coaching inward. So yeah, like we didn't quite like want to guide us towards coaching the teams to allay fears necessarily. We kind of left it wide open. Like, yeah, you might be there to help break this out for the executive leadership team. But of course, we wanted to kind of leave it somewhat open to interpretation here, just to see where the exploration would go. I think you picked up on it. Definitely, we're yeah. Why is at the center of all of these questions? What do you hope is on the other side of it? What do you hope to get from it that we can't currently get? But yeah. And then, of course, I love the idea, on the other side of the coin, I love the idea of asking AI, hey, how would we create a process that might, lead us through this in whatever ways? But great work, everybody. Hopefully, and by the way, I think in the chat here, um, you can, I think, Maggie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can maybe copy the chat if you see any ideas there that you want to.
Yep,
Uh,
you can save off the chat at any time by hitting the little breadcrumbs, the little
oh
ellipsis,
yeah.
and it'll let you save it off. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, just, so that if there's any, I'm definitely doing that. And I think we're hanging out for a little while longer to maybe continue just networking and stuff. So we can keep the conversation going, or we can, move on to other things too. But great job, everybody. Thanks again for being part of this. Justin actually had to take another call real quick, but I do have to do a quick shameless plug here for both of us, me and Justin. So our merch table, if you will. Funny enough, I have actually spent the last couple months coding my own, and I do mean like a little bit of programming, but a whole lot of using various tools to create my own coaching tools. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about that at leaderflare.com. That's my page. Justin and I also actually created, and I would say maybe with about 25% AI help, or to maybe 40%, let's say. But we created a 52-page ebook that is actually free for you to grab from those links there. On LinkedIn, I think Justin has it. Please shoot me and Justin a hello on LinkedIn. We'd love to talk to you and say hi. But this Rare Manager book was a couple months worth of work for us, and we're really happy to release it. And all we ask is if you get some value out of it, consider doing a little quick donation there at PayPal. And I think with that, I think that's all we have. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. This was great. I really liked I really liked the exercise and the and we're all sort of, I think, grappling with these ideas and where are we starting, and are we putting the tool before the problem, right? Like I think that comes up a
Mhm.
lot. Like let's identify what problems we're trying to tackle. But I'm sure as coaches and leaders and mentors and individual contributors and managers, we're all going to have similar type challenges put to us. Like, what's your plan? Didn't you have a plan already for AI? And can you get it on my desk in the next 30 minutes, right? So I think we'd all be smart to start thinking about this in our various roles.